All right, everyone. Today we're going to be talking all about early retirement. How does that sound?
I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
And honestly, who wouldn't be excited about retiring early, right?
Absolutely. It's a dream for many.
So we're diving into this guide today, and it's called, get this, The Early Bird's Guide to Financial Freedom.
Catchy title.
I know, right? Anyway, let's pick this apart and pull out some of the best tips for our listeners because, who wants to wait until they're 65 to finally enjoy life to the fullest?
Right. Time is precious.
Exactly. So let's get right into it, shall we? The first thing this guide really emphasizes is the importance of having a clear vision for what you actually want your retirement to look like.
It stresses that having that vision is super important for staying motivated and focused on your goals.
I agree. Totally. Because, if you don't know what you're working towards, how are you going to get there? Right?
It's like setting out on a journey without a destination in mind.
Exactly. And, everyone's dream retirement is different, right? Some people, they want to travel the world.
Others might want to start that business they've always dreamed of.
Yeah. Or finally have the time to pursue hobbies and spend more time with family and friends.
For sure. For sure. It's all about figuring out what truly brings you joy and making that the centerpiece of your retirement plan.
Absolutely. And to make that vision even more powerful, the guide suggests actually picking a target retirement age.
I like that idea. It gives it a sense of urgency.
Yeah, a tangible goal to shoot for. Of course, it acknowledges that the earlier you want to retire, well, the more you need to hustle on the financial front.
You need a solid game plan.
Totally. But before we can even start strategizing, you know what we need to do? We need to take a good, hard look at where we're currently at.
Like a financial checkup.
Yes, you got it. And for that, our trusty guide stresses that understanding your net worth is crucial.
Net worth basically means figuring out how much you're actually worth financially.
And it's simpler than it sounds. You just add up all your assets. So that's things like, your savings, investments, the value of your house if you own one, even your car.
Exactly. And then you subtract all your liabilities, which is essentially anything you owe money on, like credit card debt, student loans, your mortgage.
Right. So it's everything you own minus everything you owe.
And that difference gives you a clear picture of your overall financial health.
Super important. Okay, and you know me, I've never been the best at budgeting, but this guide actually made it sound kind of, almost fun.
Oh, really? I have to read that part again.
I'm serious. They really emphasize the power of automating your savings. Like setting up automatic transfers to your retirement accounts. I like the way they phrase it, pay yourself first.
I love that too. It's so simple yet so effective, right? Because, let's face it, if we leave it up to ourselves to manually transfer money into savings every month, it's way too easy to just, not do it.
Totally. Life gets in the way, unexpected expenses pop up.
Exactly. But with automatic transfers, it just happens without you having to even think about it.
Right. It's like you're secretly building this little nest egg without even breaking a sweat. And, while we're on the topic of automation and savings, I have to bring up the good old 401k.
Especially if your employer offers a matching contribution.
Free money, people. Don't leave it on the table. Seriously, though, the guide points out that, a lot of people don't actually take full advantage of employer matching programs, and they're missing out.
And it's really a shame, because it's such a simple way to boost your retirement savings significantly.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got the budgeting and savings down, but where should we actually be putting all this money?
Well, this guide is a huge advocate for diversification, and I couldn't agree more. It's all about spreading your investments across different asset classes.
I've always heard that. It's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. So that typically means having a good mix of stocks, bonds, and maybe even some real estate.
All right, so stocks for potential growth, bonds for a bit more stability, and real estate for diversification and potential rental income.
Yes. But it really depends on your individual risk tolerance and time horizon.
So how do you figure out the right mix for early retirement, especially since you have a longer time horizon to play with?
Well, the guide actually talks about something called the 4% rule. Have you heard of that?
It sounds familiar. Refresh my memory.
Sure. It's a guideline for withdrawing money from your retirement savings in a way that, should theoretically make it last for about 30 years.
So it's a way to estimate how much you can safely withdraw each year without running out of money.
Pretty much. But keep in mind that it's just a rule of thumb, and you need to consider other factors like inflation and market fluctuations, of course.
Makes sense. All right, now let's talk debt, because let's be honest, a lot of us have some kind of debt hanging over our heads.
Yeah, it's like a big elephant in the room sometimes.
So how can we prevent debt from sabotaging our early retirement dreams?
Well, this guide stresses the importance of tackling those high interest debts like credit card debt as soon as possible. They even use a pretty vivid analogy to illustrate the point. Imagine trying to run a race while carrying a backpack full of rocks. That's what high interest debt does to your finances. It weighs you down and makes it so much harder to reach your goal.
Ouch. Yeah, that image really paints a picture.
Oh,
And I bet it motivates people to start paying off those debts.
hopefully.
So no new debt as we get closer to that early retirement finish line. Got it.
Mhm.
But how about making some extra cash? Because I know I'm always looking for ways to increase my income.
Well, that brings us to one of my favorite parts of this guide, multiple income streams. They really emphasize the importance of having more than just one source of income, especially for early retirees.
Okay, that's intriguing. Tell me more.
They talk about things like side hustles, freelance work, even turning your hobbies or skills into some kind of a money-making venture.
I love that because like even a small side hustle, if you're consistent, can really add up over time.
It's a game changer. And they don't just talk about active income either. They dive into passive income streams as well.
Okay, passive income. That sounds amazing. What exactly does that mean?
Think rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, maybe even creating and selling online courses or ebooks.
Okay, so basically things that generate income without you needing to actively work for it.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. You're essentially making money while you sleep.
Now that's the dream, isn't it?
It sure is.
All right, so we're crushing it with our savings, investments, and side hustles. Anything else we should have on our radar as we plan for early retirement?
Absolutely. There are a couple of crucial things people often overlook, especially when it comes to early retirement. Healthcare costs and taxes.
Oh, right, because if you retire before 65, you're not eligible for Medicare, right? And healthcare costs can be, well, they can be pretty scary.
Very true. That's why the guide suggests looking into things like HSAs, health savings accounts.
Okay, I have to admit, HSAs are a bit of a mystery to me. Could you break those down a bit?
Of course. HSAs are basically a hybrid savings and investment account specifically for healthcare expenses.
Interesting. So how do they work?
So you contribute pre-tax dollars to the account, which means you're already saving on taxes right there. Then the money grows tax-free, and you can use it to pay for qualified medical expenses.
Okay. And what happens if you don't use all the money in a given year?
It simply rolls over to the next year. Unlike traditional health insurance premiums, your HSA contributions are working for you even if you don't use them right away.
Wow. I'm going to have to look into those.
I think it's definitely worth considering.
Okay, and you mentioned taxes. They're kind of unavoidable, aren't they?
They are. But this guide actually frames taxes in a pretty interesting way. They describe it as a game you can learn to play strategically.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah,
Because I feel like a lot of people get intimidated by taxes.
definitely. But they don't have to be scary, and the guide does a great job of breaking down the basics. They really emphasize the importance of taking advantage of tax-advantaged retirement accounts, like your 401k and IRA.
Right? Those are pretty much essential for anyone planning for retirement.
They are. And it's not just about saving on taxes now. It's also about having a smart withdrawal strategy once you're in retirement.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Mm.
We've got our vision, our budget, our investments, we're tackling debt, and we've got a handle on taxes. Anything else we should keep in mind as we navigate this journey to early retirement?
One last thing, but it's super important, flexibility.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Because life rarely goes exactly according to plan, does it?
You got it.
Yeah.
You need to be able to adapt to changes as they come up. That means regularly reviewing your financial plan and making adjustments based on things like, changes in your income, unexpected expenses, market fluctuations.
It's about staying agile, right?
Exactly. You're in the driver's seat, but you have to stay alert and be ready to change course if needed.
Okay, great advice. So as we wrap up this deep dive into early retirement, what are some of the key things our listeners should take away?
Okay, well, first and foremost, define your dream. What does early retirement look like for you? Once you have that vision in mind, it's all about creating a solid financial foundation.
So that means understanding your net worth, making a budget that works for you, and of course, starting to save as early and as consistently as possible.
Definitely. And don't forget about the power of investing. Diversify that portfolio, and don't be afraid to explore additional income streams to help you reach your goals faster.
Absolutely. And let's not forget those often overlooked factors, healthcare costs and taxes. Make sure you have a plan for those.
A little planning goes a long way.
It sure does. So for our listeners who are ready to embark on their own early retirement adventure, here's a question to ponder. What's one concrete step you can take today, even a small one, to move you closer to your goal?
Because, sometimes the hardest part is just getting started.
But once you do, you'll be amazed at how quickly progress can happen. So keep that vision in mind and keep taking those steps. We believe in you.
We do.
All right. That's it for today's deep dive on early retirement. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.